Now, Nickelodeon, God, is Nickelodeon going too far, y'all? Like, so let me just start off by saying there is a docu-series called Quiet on Set. Okay, it is being aired on ID investigation. However, it's also on HBO Max, and I have Hulu, and I'm watching it on Hulu. So, if you just put in "Quiet on Set," it comes up. And the docu series are ex Nickelodeon child stars that allege abuse and a toxic culture. And so it's a four-part docuseries and it details allegations tied to Dan Snyder. We all know Dan Snyder because he acted in most of these shows. Um, he made a lot of hit programs, The Amanda Show, iCarly, Drake and Josh, all that, which is what I watch when I watch Nickelodeon. And so he's made a ton of hit shows for Nickelodeon. The docu-series reveals SA that was suffered by the child stars from the 1990s into the early 2000s. And it was a lot of misogyny, racism, and there was adults charged in a lot of these cases. So in 2018, Dan seemingly separated from Nickelodeon after there was a complaint that was brought by Jeanette McCurdy. And if you know her, she was a star on iCarly, and she also had a spinoff called Sam and Cat. And apparently, she launched a complaint against Dan Snyder, and the complaint was investigated. They did not find SA. However, they did find that he was creating a toxic culture. They decided to separate, and she kind of launched this whole thing. And she also have her own biography where she writes about her experience on Nickelodeon. However, um, this documentary exposed a lot about this culture of Nickelodeon and the child stars. The documentary is not the first to question Snyder and his closeness with the young cast members. There were some allegations that him and Amanda Bynes were having a very odd, strange, close relationship. She was a very young star, I think 13 when she started, and Dan Snyder had a extremely close relationship with her, according to the cast. And this is all alleged, obviously. However, there's a scene that aired on Nickelodeon back then. I guess no one questioned it, but now people are looking at it with different eyes. Where Amanda Bynes and Dan Snyder are in a hot tub jacuzzi. She's in a bikini, and he's kind of in his clothes. It's just a very weird scene. Um, and then there is some clips of Ariana Grande going around from when she was on Nickelodeon, and they are extremely strange as well. It just presents as if there's some fetishes involved in some of the writing, and some of the compromising situations that they put the child stars in. It seems that they were using them to push this whole agenda, right? And I'm trying to avoid saying the S word, but you get what I'm saying. They were using the child stars to do that. Um, the docu series have one episode that really shocked everyone, and it's the episode where Drake, and he's the child star from the Amanda Show, but he also was like one of the stars on Drake and Josh show. He identified himself as a victim of Brian Peck. Now, he was a dialogue coach convicted of SA and sentenced to 16 months in prison. Now, he was one of the three from Nickelodeon that was sentenced that went to prison. There was a production assistant who essayed two girls. And then there was a third employee who went to prison for almost 7 years in 2009, essay of a teenager in the studio. So just imagine how toxic that environment must have been, where the men felt so comfortable doing this on set. That brings a lot of concerns for me because there were parents around allegedly, there were a lot of adults around, and so for the fact that these men felt comfortable doing these types of things on set while people are watching told a very crazy story to me. Now, according to the documentary, Dan was a nightmare to work with. He was asking a lot of the women who were writers to massage him, and he was actually making them blurt out very embarrassing words in meetings, and he was just very vulgar, from what I understand about him in the docu series. This is what they alleged. And Dan has then since come out and put his own story out, of course. And he's not denied the allegations, but apologized, but then I guess went on to explain his side of some of the allegations that came out. And he blamed the execs, right? Not blamed the execs, but he mentioned that he was not in full and total control, that he had a team of execs that he reported to that were bicoastal, and they came into a room and reviewed his, I guess, suggestions, and they provided feedback and approved everything that went out, all the material, everything that aired on Nickelodeon was to reportedly by Dan Snyder, approved by the executive team. So I guess I'm thinking in my head, why is it that there's always this one person that is seemingly the head of the operation, but then there's the people in the background who kind of escape the criticism, right? So Nickelodeon put Dan Snyder as the face of this, right? But there's a ton of execs that approve this material to come out. All of this that's happening on site, they have received numerous complaints that they've covered up. And Jeanette McCurdy also mentioned that Nickelodeon tried to pay her off so that she herself would not out them. And so I guess the question is, why are we supporting these networks? That we know they blur the line and they are exposing our young children, right, to content that we would not approve, right? Because it's always hidden in in the episodes. And I know as parents, we're not watching every episode our children are watching. Um, but we don't understand the gravity of what people will do for fame, and a lot of the parents were apparently there, watching these episodes, understanding what's happening, understanding the situations that their children were in, but I guess not understanding how to advocate for their children without getting their children kicked off set, without, ruining the relationship with Nickelodeon. And the parents seem to be kind of not knowing how to advocate for their children and how to stop this from happening. I guess part of my thing with that is, what will people do for fame, right? Um, how far people will go just to be famous, and the types of things that happen on set anywhere, even with Nickelodeon. Disney has had complaints as well. These are the things that we kind of consistently see happening with child stars, and how child stars are heavily affected by the way they're treated on set. Um, and so it's kind of on us to determine why we continue to support these institutions, why we continue to back these institutions, why we let our children watch these things, and why haven't these execs and even why haven't Nickelodeon been shut down? Just the numerous complaints that's happened over the years. The fact that there were three known SA abusers on site at Nickelodeon that were convicted and served time, and we are still watching Nickelodeon to this day. Like, there is still so many people supporting Nickelodeon, knowing that these are the types of things, the suggestive material that they put out, the way they influence our children, the way they influence the youth. What are we going to do?